voice actors from your favorite anime, video games, and cartoons are playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition every Wednesday on a new podcast called The Dungeon Booth. The first 11 episodes bring together the English voice actors from the hit anime series My Hero Academia, including the voices of Eraserhead, Charge Bolt, Mandalay of the Wild Wild Pussycats, and the Invisible Girl. In the Dungeon Booth, these voice actors become original player characters in a wheels-off D&D adventure full of combat, discovery, intrigue, amateurish attempts at romance, and professionally timed fart jokes. And when each game ends, the next game begins with an all-new entertaining cast of voice actors ready to jump into the booth. So go listen today and every Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, or on their website at thedungeonbooth.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Will.
And I'm Brian.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything Dungeons & Dragons, from vibrant victories to vicious villains. And today, we're talking about Vecna. The Dungeoncast. Hey Brian.
Hey, hi.
So I believe our last episode was actually the first episode of the new year, but this is the first time we've met this year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my dude.
It feels like it's been forever.
I know.
It feels like it's been forever.
I know. Holidays, man.
Yeah, dude, really though. It really takes a lot out of you. But we're back at it again. 2019, new podcast, Who Dis?
Indeed.
Let's go.
So it's been a while since I did a Twitter vote to have the fans kind of decide on a subject that we talk about. So I decided to do that for the next deity we spoke about. I did a big old poll on Twitter. A lot of people voted, and you guys voted on Vecna. So we're talking about the god of necromancy today, Vecna.
Yeah, you guys are nasty.
Indeed.
So revel in your nastiness. Today we're talking about Vecna.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Vecna was once an exceptionally powerful Lich who eventually became a god. He's originally from the Greyhawk setting, which we haven't really talked too much about Greyhawk setting, but the Greyhawk setting is Gygax's original setting. He made it up. It's the OG default setting of Dungeons & Dragons.
He was testing the physics of his tabletop RPG. In the Greyhawk setting.
Indeed he was. Vecna,
was he really? I don't know that for sure.
I mean...
Was he using... When he's developing the system, like the D20 system and everything like that, is he actually like running a story and he's like, maybe we should do it like this?
I'm not sure what Gygax's process was, but I mean, I'm sure that all the... What's the play testing he did in his own setting, because why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So Vecna is the neutral evil god of knowledge, secrets, necromancy, and the undead.
Okay.
He's usually depicted as a powerful male wizard with the body of a desiccated corpse, missing its left hand and left eye. This is because he lost these when I would say in life, but he was a lich at the time, so not in life.
In afterlife.
But in mortal form, he lost these permanently.
Okay.
And we'll talk a little bit about that later. And so for some reason, his immortal form, he just keeps it that way.
Okay, so he lived, lost his eye and his hand, and then died, which is like to say became a lich, and then like kept his form as
complicated.
As
it's complicated, and we'll get into it. But that being said, Vecna is often depicted as still missing his left eye and his left hand, and his holy symbol is a left hand clutching an eye.
Okay.
And he has there are two powerful artifacts of his that are on the mortal plane called the Hand of Vecna and the Eye of Vecna, and we'll get a little bit into that as well because they're important to his story.
Yeah.
So Vecna is he like I said, desiccated corpse, missing left hand, left eye. His titles include the Archlich, the Maimed God, and the Whispered One. His major MO is basically taking over the universe.
Okay.
Basically, he has this never-ending quest to gather knowledge and secrets and magic with the sole purpose of overthrowing and killing all other deities so that he's the only god left, and he would just rule the universe.
So we got Fantasy Hitler on our hands
I
here.
guess Fantasy Hitler, sure.
You described Hitler right now to me.
Okay, yeah. As you'd imagine, he has literally zero allies and many enemies. Yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah. Let's not get into the algebra of that.
The Hitler had a few allies.
So no friends.
Friends.
What about like cult? Do people think of their cults as friends? Because Vecna would have like a cult, right?
Yes, he does have an extensive cult, which we'll get into.
But they're not friends. They're coworkers.
They're coworkers, and quite frankly, he trusts none of them, and he kind of has a reason for that because there is a point in time where he has very trusted like advisors or generals or lieutenants.
Sure, okay.
And then problems arise. And so the whole not having friends thing is part of the game for him.
Like every time he tries to trust somebody, like he gets thwarted because of them, and it's all of his issues stem from there.
Indeed.
His recent
he has to do
issues.
everything himself. You know, he can't deal with other people.
Okay.
So Vecna is actually considered to be the most powerful Lich in all of history, possibly the most powerful wizard to ever live, at least in the Greyhawk setting. There's a couple other wizards from other settings that obviously could give him a run for his money.
Yeah, as rivals.
Yeah. Raceland Magir from Dragonlance would be one. Elminster, obviously, another. Those are only really two I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's others. You probably don't even know who those people are.
Yeah, let me know who your favorite wizard that could take Vecna is.
Yeah,
Living
I'd be
Vecna
interested
in the comments.
Yeah, in D&D setting only. You can't bring other like not D&D settings.
No, bring
into
it
this.
on. Harry Potter definitely could take Vecna.
No, Vecna would rock. Jesus Christ, Voldemort would not stand a chance against Vecna.
That just seems like a power scaling thing. I think in the in like the third season of Harry Potter, they would probably have enough
For
power
me,
to...
putting Vecna up against Voldemort is like putting Goku up against Ryu from Street Fighter.
Well, that's what I mean is you gotta give everybody some time to move forward, because if we're talking about like Dark Ryu who's awakened his like evil Hado powers and shit,
Okay,
like maybe who knows? Who really knows?
Who knows? Both Raceland Magir and Elminster will get their own episodes one day.
I did see Akuma kick a submarine in half underwater. That's pretty strong.
That is pretty strong.
I don't know if Goku could do that.
So Vecna's story is it's truly a long tale of immortal ascension. He goes from a human man to a wizard to an archwizard to an emperor and lich to a demigod, a lesser god, and there's even a point where he's a greater god at some point. So we'll talk about all that. When people think about a mortal made god, Vecna's usually the first one to come to their mind.
Okay, people love this shit.
Yeah, it's a cool success story. If you will.
Yeah, but I've noticed that if you become a god, like a lot of times you become not a god later on.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
Okay.
Oh, we're talking about the Raven Queen here?
Yeah. Or like, there's another one too. Never mind though.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Forgotten Realms has a bunch of mortals made god who die and sometimes de-god or re-god. And anyways, let's actually
like Orcus, right?
Orcus. What about Orcus? Orcus was a man who became, a demon lord.
Yeah, but then didn't he go through like a story arc where he's not a demon lord? Or
yeah, he did. He actually did become a god for a little bit. I forgot about that.
Okay, yeah.
God, his story was so convoluted.
Yeah.
Speaking of convoluted stories, let's talk about Vecna's because it's convoluted as hell.
It's got to be complicated.
It's time to tell his tale.
Yeah.
So before we get into it, Vecna's story, it's really long and a lot of bullshit happens. The details are extremely scarce, and I had to piece the story together over 9 different sources.
Oh, man.
So here's my best synopsis. Let's get into it. Vecna was born millennia ago as a human in a city named Fleeth. He was initially trained in the arts of magic by his mother until she ended up being executed by the government of Fleeth for practicing witchcraft. Which makes me think, I guess, magic isn't allowed in the city. I don't know much about Fleeth, and I don't know much about Greyhawk, so I can't actually say that for sure.
I mean,
but that's the impression it gives me.
Practicing witchcraft is like we don't understand magic, maybe, or like,
or maybe it's specifically dark magic.
Yeah, like I was gonna say necromancy. Like you're doing dark magics, and we caught you red-handed.
Right,
it's time to die.
And so, with the death of his mother, Vecna ends up vowing vengeance upon the city of Fleeth, and he begins his pursuit of the dark arts in fervor.
He just like leaves town and was like pointing at everybody on the way out, like all you motherfuckers, all of you,
everyone, and everyone you know.
You, Timmy. I love playing kickball with you, but it's time to die.
So with this, he swears vengeance, begins his pursuit of the dark arts, and the details of this pursuit are not really spelled out in any source book. Maybe in some novel somewhere, but I didn't read it.
There's a novel
there's
out
probably a novel, but I don't know where or what it is. But it is said that there's a lot of myths around how Vecna became so goddamn good at magic, and one of the myths is that he was given direct tutelage by a godlike entity known as the Serpent, and the Serpent is Greyhawk's version of like the personification of magic itself.
Okay,
and so it's like magic itself took a shine to him and basically taught him extra.
Yeah, okay, the magic snake showed up and taught me how to fireball real good.
Indeed. So it's also said that during this time...
The snake was like, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Right, exactly. Hermione. So it's said that during this time, while he was like just really getting into and becoming a master of the dark arts, he ended up gathering together a bunch of ancient dark writings from ancient Visharnan spellcasters and clerics of Nerul, god of death. We talked a little bit about Nerul in the Raven Queen episode. And so he gathered all these ancient dark writings. And he ends up adding a lot of his own discoveries to these works. And I think when he eventually becomes a Lich, he binds these works into one tome, bound in human flesh and like binded in demon bones.
What?
Yeah, human flesh and demon bones.
He did that shit where he like inflate, like, you know when you inflate a balloon and then like deflate it over your phone to make like a phone case? Have you seen that?
No, I've not seen that. What?
I'm just
you have to show me.
I'm just using that as like a
reference.
How do you make a tome out of human skin? I mean, you could like leather it. I guess
He made the Necronomicon basically.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
And this is actually in D&D. This is a legendary and magical artifact known as the Book of Vile Darkness. And it's an encyclopedic volume full of details of evil rituals, fiendish cults, forbidden spells and knowledge, and more. It said that Vecna achieved mastery over the dark arts no mortal has ever achieved before or since. So big deal. Vecna, at this point, big deal.
Yeah.
He becomes a bigger deal as he keeps going.
Yeah, and there's a riddle in his name. Rearrange all the letters. It's
Voldemort.
Voldemort.
Spell? No. So with his
Sounds
new,
like Voldemort to me.
So with this new attained power, he ends up becoming a Lich, and then he gathers an army of evil spellcasters, undead, warriors, etc. He establishes a territory, and over the course of 1,000 years, he builds a mighty empire.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So now he's an Emperor Lich King.
Is there like a Blitzkrieg moment where he like has to go like take over this land with his like army of evil people, or is he just like sending out?
The details
like,
are not
invites?
spelled out. Really, the details it's like the telling of Jesus' life. It's like he's 12 and then bam, he's 30.
I'm gonna picture like a scene from Sandlot where like one kid's riding his bike through the neighborhood, like we're gonna go play ball, and all the kids are getting on their bike
Right.
and like following him down like an alleyway.
Right.
It's like that.
It's like that. Okay, sure. But yeah, no. It's seriously all the lore I could find. It's like he was a young boy learning the dark arts, and there's some legends about that. Bam, he's an emperor. Like,
hell yeah.
And so there it is.
That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah,
But that's why you gotta buy the bookie rights later.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So he at this point he's so infamous and his empire is so vast that like even his chief lieutenants are infamous in their own right. And he had two major ones. One is Castle Bloody Handed, who at the time was an evil human paladin. He later becomes a very legendary vampire lord. And Acererak, the half-demon apprentice of Vecna, who eventually becomes one of the most legendary liches to ever live. We talked about him a little bit in the Lich episode. He'll get his own episode.
Just
more than
rolling
likely.
in deep company here.
Yeah, indeed. Like he's so badass that his lieutenants are legends.
Oh, wow.
Like so, yeah, Vecna.
He's like a super legend.
So at the height of the Empire's power, Vecna finally lays siege upon Fleeth. He's like, the moment is now. And here he is. And there's nothing they can do. He's a force to be reckoned with.
I wonder if that was the catalyst. He's like, I have to get so powerful. There's like literally no things that could happen to stop me.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
All right.
So he ends up slaughtering every single citizen of the city, save for the ruling city officials, whom he laid the heads of the dead of all the citizens before, and then he tortured the city leader. He isn't really given a name. And he tortures this person before the remaining officials for an entire day.
Oh.
Then, when he's done with all this, he releases the dozen or so officials and promises them a lifelong of protection so that they'd be forced to live with the horrific memories till their deaths.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to die, but you know, chill for a while before.
You're going to be
before that
traumatized for
happens.
decades.
Yeah, it's going to be
before.
great.
Yeah. So after the annihilation of Fleeth, Vecna ends up being betrayed by his most trusted lieutenant, Cass, the Bloody Handed.
Oh, man.
The details of the
Ex-paladin.
Right, ex-paladin. So he was probably a Death Knight at that point, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that, like, why didn't he become a Death Knight?
The details weren't really given. Cass might get his own episode, and I'll do some extra research at that point. But as far as I know, evil human paladin is all we got.
Yeah.
The details of the battle between them isn't told, but Vecna was slain. He's killed at this point. And Cass is launched like across the multiverse. So I just imagine like there was just a big like spirit bomb / planet ending moment. Not actually planet ending, but big Dragon Ball Z moment where they kill each other basically.
Oh, okay. Like Vecna summons a bunch of skeletons and forms them into a ball and throws them.
Yeah, well, I just picture like, okay, the way I picture it is Cass gets the killing blow with like his soul rending weapon, and then as Vecna's finally dying, he like snaps his fingers and opens up a void that sucks Cass into like God knows where.
Yeah, he's like, well, I usually don't do this spell when I'm like in the room, but here we go. And
Indeed, yeah, exactly. It summons a black hole
for sure.
So that's how I picture it, but honestly, it's up to DM's discretion, of course. So it launches Cass across the plane, across the multiverse, and lands him in the plane of Ash, where his proximity to the negative planes actually turn him undead, and he becomes a vampire that way.
Shit, it's like falling into acid, like you're a fucking Batman villain.
Right, exactly, right. So Vecna's mighty rotted tower is destroyed in this fight, and the only surviving objects are Vecna's left hand and eye. This is how he loses them. Cass takes them from him. And the sword of Cass, which is also a very magical, powerful evil artifact. So all three of these powerful evil artifacts are left over from this fight. Now, Vecna was a lich. There is zero mention of his phylactery, so I don't know how he actually dies, because you're not supposed to be able to kill a lich like this. But this is the lore. He dies.
His phylactery was his left hand.
Yeah, maybe Cass had the phylactery and then he did the betrayal.
Maybe that just kind of goes without saying. Like, if he killed him, he had to have done that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's probably what happened. But the sword of Cass is very, very powerful. So maybe because it was so magical, he could just
it's so magical it reaches beyond the fourth wall and also cuts the rules in half.
Indeed. There you go. So, anyways, death, of course, as not the end for Vecna. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this episode. His spirit endured, and his power ascended him to the level of a demigod. Now, how is not explained, but I do have a few theories. I think there's a lot going on here. I think number one, his innate power is a factor. He was extremely powerful, so he's got the seed of demigoddom right there. Two, his favoritism with the serpent probably had something to do with that. So he had this innate connection to an already semi-divine being,
like almost like he got warlocked a little bit.
A little bit, maybe. Possibly, I'm not sure. And
it's
then
a new. They haven't printed that one yet in any manuals,
right?
Like that warlock pack where you're like mostly just a super good wizard,
right? and I think third and most importantly, he had an army of really devout followers that basically worship him as a god. And as we all know, believing in something often brings it into being in Dungeons and Dragons. Right. So a cult formed around the demigod and his artifacts, and the cult ends up working to raise him to an even higher status, a greater power.
They stood around a table and they were like, nah, and then he came back to life.
Right. Well, this is the point where I think we're in second edition at this point of the story, and this is where
old lore here.
Yeah, adventure modules start coming into play that really propel Vecna's story forward.
Okay.
And so in one of the modules, the cult sets forth events that will raise Vecna to a greater god status, but he ends up getting thwarted by the adventurers in the story. I believe the module is called The City of Greyhawk, and it's a box set that you can buy. It's for second edition. But at the end of this adventure, Cass is also involved in this adventure. At the end of this adventure, both Cass and Vecna get banished to the Debbie Plane of Dread, which the Dark Powers. You remember Castle Ravenloft?
Yeah.
He becomes a Ravenloft Dreadlord, basically.
Oh, wow, cool.
Still a demigod, but he's trapped in his own demiplane. And his demiplane shares a border with Cass's, so they're just at war constantly.
Yeah, Ravenloft is like a wart on the plane.
It really is. Yeah. So that's kind of like the end of second edition, kind of. So there they fight the Stalemate War, and while this is going on, Vecna ends up devising and implementing a mistake, which brings us into the next Vecna module called Die Vecna Die.
Okay, what?
And it's probably one of the most famous
it's an
ones.
anime.
It's probably one of the most famous D&D modules ever.
Oh, wow.
But in this module, Vecna ends up fooling the evil god Ayaz into entering Cavitas, which is Vecna's domain, in pursuit of killing Vecna. Basically, he leaked out a bunch of information that led Ayaz to believe that he could get to Vecna, kill him, and absorb his powers. And he just kind of.
But it's really just a bait.
It's a bait. But he incepts this idea into Ayaz. So Ayaz shows up, and Vecna has a chat for him, and then Vecna does exactly that to him.
Oh wow!
So he kills Ayaz and absorbs his power, and by doing this, he actually becomes a greater god temporarily at this point. Now I'm not sure how that works because they were both demigods, so they weren't even like both minor deities. But I guess demigod plus demigod equals greater god?
Yeah, like exponential.
I guess power. So. Maybe it's exponential.
Because you do it like Kirby style, right? Like you suck this guy into your mouth and then like his power becomes yours.
Sure.
Now you got a new cool hat.
Either way, Vecna is more powerful than he's ever been at this point. And he ends up being so powerful, he easily breaks free of the Demi-Plate of Dread, which is not something that lesser beings can do because the dark powers would stop that. And then he begins the second half of his plan, which he breaks for the city of Sigil, which we've never talked about. But let me give you a real brief, quick snippet on Sigil. So Sigil is probably one of the most major location in the Planescape setting.
Okay.
It's essentially the center of the universe. It's like a demi-plane that has portals to all other planes.
Okay.
And because of that, it's basically just one city.
So it's like the dumping ground of, like, you know, you can have Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms characters in the same room.
You can, but most importantly, like, this is the city. It's a true city of neutrality. So angels, devils, demons, mortals,
they're coming here to write
elementals,
deals.
Everyone meets here and no one's allowed to fight.
Oh, dang.
So it's this weird neutral zone. And the way it's kept neutral is there's a being who lives there. Her name is the Lady of Pain. She wanders the city at random. She's like this 10-foot tall masked female with like this feathered headdress. She does not speak.
She just drives you into the concrete.
Yeah, no one knows anything about her. No one knows her motives. No one understands basically anything about her. Sometimes she'll just show up and kill everyone in a building and no one knows why.
What?
Yeah, and nothing can stop her. In her own domain, she's an unstoppable deity.
Okay.
Like, deities don't fuck with her because she's too powerful in her own place, and she predates the gods. And like, she also doesn't suffer worshipers. People who worship her will draw her attention and she'll kill them.
Okay.
Yeah. And
this is what?
She's exceptionally powerful to the point, like, she snap her fingers and send people into an infinite labyrinth for the rest of their lives so that they can never escape. Like, she's just exceptionally god level powerful. Lady of Pain, she'll get her own episode. She's really cool. She's a fan favorite.
Oh man.
Yeah. Lady of Pain.
All right.
So now that you know that
doesn't make any fucking sense.
I mean, I don't know. What's the problem with Lady of Pain?
I don't know if I have a problem necessarily. Just like, what? Like, how has this never come up?
Because we've never talked about Planescape or the city of Sigil. So like, she can't leave. So why would she come up?
God, there's so many different settings.
Yeah, indeed there is.
Okay.
So now that you know that, Vecna breaks a break for the city of Sigil. This is all in the adventure module. He makes a play here to control the multiverse, because remember in the Orcus episode we talked about the secret word of power that could slay gods?
Oh yeah.
Well, Vecna's the fucking god of secrets, and guess what? He's a greater god now, so he can wield that word without dying like Orcus did.
Okay, sweet.
So now he's got the word. He's a greater god. He shows up in Sigil. He's like, this place is mine now, and I'm making a play for the fucking universe from here.
Oh, what?
Lady of Pain shows up. Obviously the adventurers show up. Lady of Pain.
Oh, this is the module.
This is the module.
Okay, yeah.
Lady of Pain shows up, and even in all of her power, which I just kind of described to you, she can't fully stop him, but she can weaken him.
Okay.
Because he's got the greater power. He's got the power of a greater god, and he's got the secret word that can kill shit. So he's like super uber powerful. He's
okay. This is like the first Brawley movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the point is,
the
point is that she can weaken him just enough for these awesome adventurers to finish the job.
Yes. Okay.
Which they do. Obviously.
I mean, if you're gonna sell a book, that sounds great.
Yeah. So he's thwarted by Lady of Pain duo with the group of adventurers. And then Vecna is then ejected from Sigil, greatly diminished, but still a lesser god at this point. So I guess it kept some of that Ayaz juice.
Okay.
Because Ayaz doesn't die. He actually, when this happens, he gets some of his power back. But anyways,
my mind is blown.
At this point, Vecna journeys back across the cosmos to his original setting of Greyhawk, to the material plane of Earth.
Okay.
Where he takes his
crossover's done.
Yeah, he takes his place amongst the Pantheon, and that's that. That's the story of Vecna. Really quickly, 4th edition introduces Vecna. You know, 4th edition is its own thing, of course.
Right.
But 4e introduces Vecna as a greater god of necromancy, secrets, and magic. His background is basically that story I just told you, but way pared down to something more digestible and
like how they kind of
like
kind of how they rewrite stuff and throw it on like half a page with a big stat block.
Basically, the only thing you get in 4th edition is Vecna was a human, became a wizard, became a lich, became a god, and that's basically that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same story without all the weirdness with the demi-plane of dread and the city of Sigil and all that other stuff. It's just like a clear linear line. And with that being said, let's take a short rest.
Yeah. Hey Naruto fans, there's a new podcast out there for you to check out. The Talking Naruto Podcast. Comedians Benel Jermosin and Lawson Leong rewatch every episode of Naruto from beginning to end, recounting the big story points as well as little things you may have forgotten. If you like Naruto, dumb jokes, and weird tangents, this podcast is for you. Find us on iTunes or podcast.com. The Talking Naruto Podcast will be the Hokage someday. Believe it. Databayo! Hey everybody, welcome to the part of the episode we're not talking about the last thing we were talking about. We're talking about some new thing, and it's about, I think you called it spreading the dungeon love.
I said, yeah, it's time to spread the dungeon love.
It's time to spread some dungeon love from our recording dungeon where we record the show, and we just think about how much we love everybody. We love you guys. If you can hear the sound of my voice, thank you for watching the show, listening to the show. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're enjoying it. Let's talk about some people that we want to thank in particular, Will.
Indeed.
They've joined us on Patreon.
Welcome to the cult.
Thank you. Welcome and welcome. I'm hoping you're enjoying your bonus content. Shout out to Donovan. Thank you for joining the Patreon.
Thank you, Donovan.
Patreon. And shout out to Zua Kai.
Thank you, Zua.
Thanks for coming on board, guys. No, yeah, I really do thank you guys very much, and I hope you're enjoying the bonus content. So we want to plug some stuff.
Indeed.
Will, where can everybody find you on Twitter?
At the Dungeoncast.
Okay, yeah, that's right. And you can find me on Instagram at the Dungeoncast.
Indeed.
We kind of just like take responsibility of those two things individually pretty much. So
Indeed.
Will's killing it on Twitter.
I'm the Twitter boy.
And I'm the Insta boy. And welcome to the Dungeoncast. Welcome to the short rest. You can also email us collectively. We both check the email address and we try to respond to people. You can find us thedungeoncast@gmail.com. Hit us up with some story time, I guess. Mm-hmm. Critiques, whatever. Email us there.
Anything you want to say to us, say it to us there.
Ad space inquiries, you can do that there. We do have the front space is filled up for a little while, but if you guys want to get in on this middle space or this back space, you totally can. And I think that's all we really want to say in this short rest and keep it short.
I think so.
You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you back at the show.
Let's get back to the show. People voted, and I give the people what they want.
We've returned to what you want.
So it's time to talk about Vecna's cult. Now,
hell yeah.
Vecna's cult is a truly secretive and esoteric order. I mean, he's the god of secrets, so of course they're incredibly secretive.
Yeah.
They operate undetected throughout the entire cosmos, and because of their secretivity. Is that a word?
Good word.
Yeah, sure.
It is now.
His dogma and the operations of his cult are not widely known, and nothing's really spelled out in like a religious doctrine or anything like that. What is known is that Vecna commands his devout to amass knowledge and secrets at all costs in order to further his goals of taking over the universe.
Yeah.
He believes in... Okay, so this is important in Vecna. Vecna believes that there exists a secret that can destroy any being, no matter how powerful that being is. And his mantra, if you will, is... In every heart lies a seed of darkness kept hidden from all but the self. Finding and exploiting that secret is the key to undoing one's enemies. Knowledge equals power. Now, this extends to not just the knowledge that he wishes to gain, but knowledge that he seeks to keep from all others but himself. So, like, he also believes these secrets can be used against him. So the best way to safeguard that is to amass these secrets and then kill everyone who knows it. And then now that secret is his to keep.
And that's what it means to turn the secretivity up to 11.
Indeed.
So there's one 10th level spell in all the game, and it's a secret. And Vecna doesn't know it or does know it.
Well, I mean, that word of power that we're talking about is a good example of like super secret forbidden knowledge that he gained to get way higher in the hierarchy than he was before. And it worked to a certain extent.
It's like a bonkers power word kill. It's God word kill.
Right. Now, people who worship Vecna, obviously the undead, power-hungry spellcasters are also prominent in his following, but a big portion of his cult are spies, blackmailers, and corruptors. They subvert governments, they seduce good folk to evil, they infiltrate organizations of power, and they spark wars between enemies. There's a really, really good quote from I can't remember which Dragon magazine, but it was a Dragon magazine with the write up on Vecna.
Yeah,
and
those are really good. There's a lot of good info.
Those are really good. I really enjoy those. And the quote is, "Vecna is the secret whispered in the dark, the deathbed confession that topples empires, the lost spell fragment that can shackle the mortal races forever. He waits in hidden places, unearthing dark knowledge and horrible long buried things to further his goals and take the world for his own."
Okay,
like that's Vecna in a nutshell. Like he's powerful, much like Asmodeus or any of the other powerful gods, but like he works a little bit differently. Like he's a knife in the dark, while Asmodeus is like the army, like the Iron Fist. Like Vecna is the assassin.
Right. Okay.
So secrecy is also a necessity for the cult of Vecna due to the fact that basically Vecna's goals put him at odds with every other being in the universe, both good and evil.
Yeah.
So they got nothing but enemies, so they have to be secretive. And they're so good at covering their tracks that few of their cells have ever been uncovered. And even then, it's only small groups that are captured, and interrogation of these cultists is often completely useless. For two reasons. Number one, they're devout and secretive, but also Vecna commands an extreme compartmentalization of information among his followers so that no one really has all even his high priest only knows a limited amount of the secrets of how things work.
You get some secrets, everybody gets a secret, but it's different secrets.
Exactly. And the reason being, like, he was betrayed by his most trusted dude,
right?
So he doesn't trust anybody anymore.
Right.
All secrets for him only.
Right.
So yeah. So all this secrecy you would think should make the recruitment efforts like useless or like really ineffective, but the cult uses their secrecy itself as a recruitment tool in these three ways.
If you show up, your signing bonus is one secret.
Right. So in these three ways, number one, blackmail. Now, the cult of Vecna often uses the dirt they have on people to force them into Vecna servitude, and to reveal secrets about others that they know. So they get more people that they have dirt on to join the cult.
Right. I know your secrets.
And they just repeat this process.
Tell me your secrets, and I won't tell your secrets.
Exactly. This builds a web of connected secrets that can capture an entire community through nothing but threats.
Oh, man. That's what y'all get for gossiping. Vecna's going to come wreck your shit with your secrets.
And to further Vecna's hold on these same people, there's this kind of sunk cost fallacy that kind of happens with them where in order to not reveal their secrets, they are slowly... what's the word I'm looking for? Convinced to do more and more terrible things until eventually they're so deep into it. They've done so many bad things. Now all those secrets can be used against them and they're just never getting out. Yeah. And so either they go crazy, they kill themselves, or they buy fully in, and now they're full on cultists.
They try to like take on another secret pact as like a devil or something, and like things just start fucking spiraling out of control.
What this reminds me of, in the New 52 of DC, there's a Batman comic called 0 Year written by Scott Snyder, and it's a really good story. But in the story, there's a villain called I think it's just called Red Hat. Either way, there's the Red Hat and the Red Hat gang, and you end up discovering, spoilers for 0 Year, is that every member of the Red Hat gang is, number one, a prominent member of society, but number two, they're all unwilling. They're all being blackmailed to be a member.
It's the Red Hood.
Red Hood, that's it. Yeah. I don't know why I was saying Red Hat.
And isn't it year zero? Not 0
0 Year. No, it's 0 Year.
It is 0 Year?
Yeah, it's
is
0
year
year.
Zero different?
No, year one is a different thing.
Oh, that's what it is, year one.
So in 0 Year, the Red Hood has the Red Hood gang, and each member is a prominent member of society, but they're also an unwilling member because they're being blackmailed to be there. Right. But the thing is, they think everyone else is legit. Right. And they're the only one being blackmailed, but in reality, they're all being blackmailed. Right. That's like the cult of Vecna.
Yeah, and then the Joker gets up in there.
And then Red Hood becomes the Joker.
Yeah, so there's that Joker, and then there's like Detective Comics 168, like Red Hood
Joker.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of different Jokers.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So anyways, that's one of the ways in which they use their secrets to recruit people. The second way is through lies. So new acolytes are often lied to about the patron deity of the cult. They're told that the cult serves an ancient knowledge god, and then they're slowly groomed to compromise their ethics in the pursuit of knowledge until eventually it will only be revealed to members that prove that they're willing to do anything for the sake of learning, and then it's like, ha, It was Vecna the whole time. And you're okay with that because you don't give a shit.
Yeah, you're like, no, dope. That makes total sense.
Right. So secrecy for the win there. And then last but not least, reputation. The reputation of the cult's access to lost, forbidden, secret knowledge is so legendary that it's an excellent lure for like willing, power-hungry people.
So like maybe Vecna, maybe I've got the wrong idea. Like maybe Vecna isn't hot for secrets. Maybe Vecna is hot for like revealing secrets, and that's why he likes secrets. So
He's super against revealing secrets. That's why he does it so sparingly.
Well, no, maybe he just like really, you can't do it a lot, right? But maybe he's like really into it. He's like, ooh, I'm going to get to tell somebody this thing today. It's been a while.
I don't think so. Mostly because but also mostly because he stands in direct opposition of a goddess named Ion, who is the goddess of knowledge, but she's all about sharing knowledge.
Oh,
so
like
her and
knowledge for
Vecna fucking hate each other.
Yeah, they're just like,
because he wants to keep it all
like,
for himself.
Knowledge for me.
Yeah, and she's like, no knowledge for everyone.
He's like,
Yeah, so there's that. So there is a rough hierarchy to the cult of Vecna that is known for some reason. Basically, each position within the hierarchy is named after one of Vecna's body parts. I think because the original cult formed around the hand and the eye, so they just kept going with
it's
that
kind of like a
motif.
necromancy thing with like anatomy.
That's true. Yeah, there we go. That's probably another part of it. So yeah, the top, of course, is Vecna himself, followed by the voice of Vecna, which can only be filled by Vecna's manifestation in the mortal realm. So Vecna and then Vecna.
Okay, there we go.
Next is called the Heart of Vecna, which is the high priest of the cult, often a very powerful lich. Mm-hmm. Individual congregations are known as organs. Each are led by a thought of Vecna. Lesser priests are known as memories of Vecna. The less religious sections of the cult have their own kind of names. So like wizards are called the
Things
teeth.
Vecna forgot.
No, wizards are called the teeth of Vecna. Thieves are called the fingers of Vecna. Warriors are called the blood of Vecna. And then like common folk type people are just known as the spawn of Vecna.
I'm the eggs that Vecna forgot to pick up at the store.
There we go.
That's me.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the hand and eye of Vecna, because those are his two most notable artifacts outside of the Book of Vile Darkness. But you have to understand the Book of Vile Darkness, it was handcrafted by him, but he only makes up like a third of its contents. The other contents are from a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, like he went and researched a bunch of sources that he wanted included in his book and then added like his own chapters.
Exactly. Okay. That's exactly what it is. And although the book is very important to the cult, it's not like the Vecna object. Although if there is a god that is most related to the book, it is Vecna. So yeah. Anyways, we're talking about the hand and the eye and not the book.
Okay.
So both of these artifacts are powerful and they can imbue their wielder with power. So they're both physical remnants of Vecna's mortal body, but even though they're just what should be inanimate objects, they actually have a will of their own, and they are inherently evil. And they still serve Vecna himself. Okay. So they're important to the cult, but they're like an extension of Vecna's will, kind of like the One Ring. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. It's just like that, actually. So these artifacts actually wander the world in search of new wearers to spread evil with. So they're not usually. They're sometimes in the handling of the cult, but they're usually out in the world doing shit.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
Like they're getting in the wrong hands and people are doing bad shit with them.
Pretty much. Okay. So when a humanoid touches the hand will spring to life and scratch at the left hand of the human.
Oh no! Yeah. Like bad or just like lightly? Like
lightly.
Oh no! And weird, like a loving caress.
Right? Yeah, a loving caress.
It's like so the humanoid. Don't tell anybody.
The humanoid at this point will feel a surge of power, and they'll feel a feeling that their deepest desires are like within their reach, and they will be if they choose to use the hand, they will be compelled to chop off their left hand and attach the stump. Attach it to the stump. Yeah. So once that happens, shit kind of goes downhill. But it grants the wearer of the hand, if you will, a bunch of powers. So depending on the edition, the Hand of Vecna can grant the wearer access to necromantic spells, orbs of necromantic energy, cold damage melee attacks, life draining abilities, and increased combat strength.
Yeah, the wearer.
Yeah, the wearer, the wielder, whatever you want to call it.
The surgeon, the at-home surgeon.
Right. The eye of Vecna kind of has the same thing, except for when it comes into contact with a humanoid, it will give them an intense hallucinatory vision. and it will use these visions to get the humanoid to remove their left eye and put
God.
Vecna's in.
It's that movie with Jessica Alba where she gets like new eyes from a donor, and then she starts seeing like that ghost of that person or whatever.
No, I've not heard or seen this movie.
It's bad. It's probably bad.
Oh, okay.
Jessica Alba.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, the premise for sure.
Right. So depending on the edition, the eye can grant the wearer increased dark vision, boosted arcane perception and insight checks, necrotic eye beams, true sight, powerful wizard spells, and frightening illusory abilities.
Neat. Okay.
So yeah, very powerful. But the thing is, both of these artifacts will corrupt their wearer to pure evil over time. And when either artifact is finished with their host's usefulness, they'll consume the owner's body and mind, causing them to crumble to dust.
And then they're just like chilling again? Like
and then the object will return to Vecna, wherever the fuck he is, and convey all the arcane knowledge and secrets that the host knew.
So, and then Vecna like puts it back out in the world?
Yep, and upon which they are released back into the world to gain even more knowledge.
Like Vecna comes home from work and his eyes sitting on his coffee table. He's like,
back.
Sick! What do we got?
Pretty much, yeah. That's exactly it, yeah.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's his artifacts. That's his cult. That's kind of his MO. That was his story. Do you got any questions about Vecna, my dude?
That's weird. Vecna weird.
Vecna is weird. I like Vecna. Like, it's one of my favorite evil deities.
Where would you find like the hand and the eye? Like, where's Vecna put in the stuff?
I mean, in any given dungeon or whatever. Obviously, I think the most common way you'd probably introduce it is like they find the hand amongst like revealed cult cell of Vecna.
Okay.
And maybe one of the adventurers recognizes it and they're like, oh shit, this is dangerous. We need to find some holy person to steal this away. And then that can be a whole
Some dude's already cutting off their hand. Like, I never knew my hand itched like that, but the Vecna hand scratched it. And now, like, it's either got to scratch it forever or I got to cut this hand off.
That'd be kind of cool where it like takes over one of the player characters that like the DM and the player character have like talked about it already.
Yeah, totally.
So like one of the members of the party becomes like the villain of the story because it becomes Vecna's new vassal or whatever.
Yeah, he becomes the mole.
Right.
He like it's the gauntlet wearing guy, and he's like, I'll hold that. And then like one day, like, it's his turn to watch and he puts it on.
Yeah.
Puts it on.
Then
buries his own hand and then nothing ever happened.
The reveal is like it's one of the other person's turn to watch the hand and they decide to take a peek and it's not Vecna's hand, it's the hand of their buddy. And that's how they realize. Like, that'd be pretty cool.
Like try to like dry it like a dead flower to make it look like Vecna's hand. Right. It looks like just a jerky hand in there now.
That's too funny. So, but any questions about Vecna? His hand, his book, his methods.
Is the book floating around too? Is that like
the Book of Vile Darkness? Yeah, it's floating around. It's so it's complicated because there are copies of it that have been made that are like imperfect. And Vecna's cult is one of the few cults.
They don't have human skin.
Well, it's more like
this is just regular leather, but it's definitely got bad shit in it.
A Book of Vile Darkness that isn't copied verbatim lacks power for some reason. And like Vecna's cult is one of the few cults that it's confirmed has one of the OG. Like there were 6 original copies made or whatever, and they have one of them.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that. It's believed that they possibly might have one of the original copies of the books that have the names of all Euglyphs. We talked about that in the Euglyphs episode. Not confirmed, but like because they're the keeper of all these crazy secrets.
Yeah, it's a secret.
They're a prime suspect of having one of the like 3 books or whatever.
All of the official lore is like there may or may not be this thing associated with Vecna.
Basically.
But like who knows really?
Yeah, and that's kind of his thing is like he's a very versatile and flexible deity that you can use in your story because like it's a kind of Schrodinger's cat is like it's both. It can be anything you want it to be.
Right. I wonder if Vecna's like if Vecna has like people he's fond of. Like I don't trust anybody, but like here's $20 and like I'll never tell.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
It's a secret.
His main enemies.
Who left me this 20?
Yeah, his main enemies are Orcus, Raven Queen, and Ion. But no one likes him. No one deals with him. Like Asmo doesn't deal with his ass. No one bothers with him. Like he has no allies.
He's a nerd.
Yeah,
he's the nerd.
Which
of the
honestly,
Pantheon.
that makes him more impressive to me because of how fucking successful he is, and he has no friends. He has no ins. He's all on his own, and he's just so damn good at what he does.
He's like a corporate. He's like a corporate giant in like Silicon Valley. He's just like so fucking smart. And
right.
Like he doesn't have any friends. He just has this fucking monster company.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that being said, I think it's time to get ready for our long rest.
We should get ready for a long rest. And when we get ready for a long rest, we talk about stuff that isn't about the content of this. It's kind of like Short Rest, but longer.
It is kind of like Short Rest. And I think on this one, we're going to talk about our gaming channel, TDC Plays.
Yay.
If you want to see us here at the Dungeoncast playing video games, go check it out. The link's in the description, and it's a lot of fun. We're doing Pokemon. We're doing Outlast.
Diaries of a Smash Bro.
Yeah, Zelda 2 is coming. Yeah. Actually, very, very quickly. I got to get on that.
Old platformers like Mega Man X and Mega Man Zero. We're going to have some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe up in there. Yeah. Just some for funsies little, like, stuff.
Yeah.
What else do we got?
Just a good time.
What else do we got?
What, to pump?
Yeah.
I guess our D&D live play, Supercross Saga, which is right here on the YouTube channel.
I think we should call it like an actual play, right?
Actual play, live play.
Wouldn't live be like we're streaming it?
I don't know.
I think we should.
I don't know what the rules to these things are, but we're playing Dungeons and Dragons on the channel.
Yeah.
Episodes come out every other Tuesday. They're about an hour to an hour and a half long, and it's a space game.
Space, cyberpunk.
And it's a lot of fun.
Opera.
Yeah.
D&D 5e.
It's a sci-fi D&D 5e game. It's a lot of fun. You should check it out.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun playing in it, and so do the other two players, Jake and Freeland. Thank you guys also for participating in that with us.
Indeed.
You can also find our Patreon if you want to help support the show, keep the lights on, and pump our bonus content that we put up in there. There's really cool stuff going on for $10 patrons. I suggest you go check it out. More actual play stuff, and especially if you're a fan of Batman. Lots of cool shit.
Yeah.
Just recorded the finale for FBATS.
Very true.
Also catch our Discord if you want to get in on that, especially if you are a patron and you're not using the special Discord channel that we have in there. Hit us up, or like the link in the bottom, and then hit up one of the mods and they'll put you in the Discord, like the special.
Yeah, we have special channels for the Patreon members.
Yeah, it's real cool. You guys are all great in Discord. Thank you so much. We just hit like 300 Discord users in our particular subscriber. What do you call it in Discord? I don't know, but like they're super in there right now. And thank you guys for helping mod that. We really appreciate you guys a lot.
I think with that being said, we can call it a game.
Let's call it a game.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Dungeoncast. Blah, blah. She brews a proper cup of coffee in a copper coffee pot.
20,000 roaring orcs.
20,000
roaring orcs. 50 sentient sacks of flour.
50 sentient sacks of flour. That's too funny. God, I haven't listened to that podcast in forever.
I love that show.